city of David, so we might be talking a bit more about David, but not only. Our tour is around 2.5 to 3 hours. Okay, so I hope you're prepared for that. In our tour, I like to divide it into 3 parts. Okay, and there's the first part when we are over the city. Okay, we'll go up to the observation spot and maybe stop down there on the benches for a small brief introduction. Then we have the second part when we are going to see 2 structures, I would say, from the ancient time of the city. And then there is the third part, which is the fun part,
Yes.
when we go underground.
Wow.
Now, when we go underground, there are two underground tunnels. Okay, Sam, listen carefully. Okay, 2 underground tunnels. The first tunnel is dry and it's pretty big. Okay, it's dry and big, and we don't need our flashlights for that. It's like 20 minutes, and then we will get to the wet tunnel. Okay, the wet tunnel is also called Hezekiah's tunnel. That tunnel is dark and narrow and very low, and we'll need flashlights, and some of us will need to bend. Okay, it takes between 20 minutes to half an hour to walk through that tunnel.
Is it wet?
It's wet. The height of the water gets up to your pockets at the beginning, at the end, but you don't have to do that. Okay? That tunnel, I'll just say, it's approximately 2,700 years old. Pretty cool. We'll also hear about the story of why that tunnel was made. But there's also another tunnel which is dry and shorter, which is about 4,000 years old. So you can choose.
It's not from Hezekiah, it's somebody else.
The wet one is from Hezekiah, the other one is from a different time.
I can't do both.
You can do both, but the second dry tunnel isn't as exciting, I would say. It's less a thrill, it's more chill.
It's for the older crowd.
It's for the people who prefer going dry. So that is the logistics. We are going to finish the tour at the bottom of City of David. Okay, from there is a possibility to take a shuttle back, which costs 5 shekels a person.
Okay.
Okay, or to walk all the way up, or to walk through another tunnel. Okay, back up to here. But we're going to finish the tour at the bottom over there, and then you can choose which way you want to come up through. We're going to be finished then. We'll finish over there at around maybe 1:45, 1 o'clock, something like that.
At the end, can we go to the hotel?
So to get up to the Kotel, you have to come all the way back here.
You have to come back here.
So
Take the
it's
dung gate.
yeah, into the dung gate, and you'll see. And we're gonna go many stairs down. Okay, and when we go to the top of the observation spot, maybe you'll have an idea of how down we're going to walk. Okay, we're gonna go very
Is it
very
cold?
down.
Do we need anything else in the tunnel?
And in the tunnel, it's more or less it's temperature like now. I would
Okay,
say it's
okay.
not hot and not
Okay.
cold, but it's nice. It's getting a bit
Yeah,
wintry
it's
here
nice,
in Jerusalem.
nice.
I came from Tel Aviv. It was hot. I got here. It was a bit colder. It's nice. Slowly and kind of easy, but I'm talking about the Canaanite times. Okay, we call more maybe the Bronze Age or the Late Bronze Age, and the people who live according to the Bible here in the city of Jerusalem, okay, are the Jebusites. Okay, we call them Yevusim. Okay, I'll say Yevusim or Jebusites, and they are part of the Canaanite tribes, which are mentioned in the Bible. Okay, so when we'll go down to the first tunnel, which is dry, which is 4,000 years old, I will tell you this is a Canaanite tunnel, or maybe I'll say it's a Jebusite tunnel. And I mean that the people who worked and lived over here 4,000 years ago were working, were chiseling day after day, and in the Bible they're mentioned as Jebusites or Canaanites, and they're the first people to establish a city in this place. Any ideas why they came here?
Water.
Hills, water, awesome, 2 correct answers. Any other ideas? Mountains, right? So we said mountains and hill.
Soil?
Soil, awesome. Okay, so we have water, okay, we have soil, which is agriculture. We have the hills and the mountains, okay, so we need water, right? We need food. We need protection. And no one's here from New York, but we have Jersey. And New York, New Jersey is on the river and on the connection with the Hudson River. Okay, that's always the
Trade route.
what I say. Yes, exactly, because of the trade. So we are not on the main road. Okay, not at all on the main road, but there is a main road 1 mile to our west, which is called today Derech Hebron, the Hebron Road. Any guesses where it goes to? Hebron, okay? And then actually it can continue to Egypt, actually. But Hebron Road, okay? So that is something to have in mind. So we have those 4 main themes in the city, so that is why they came up here. But the first establishment of the city is down over there. We don't need to move, I just want you to have a look. And maybe you can take 2 steps to the left. Let's come closer so we'll all have a look. I want you to see that palm tree over there. Sammy, can you see there's a tree over there? There's a red roof. There's a red roof. A red roof. And next to it, a tree with the palm tree with the leaves going up. Okay, that is what we call the spring house. Okay, that is where the spring is. That is where we are going to meet the water in about 2 hours. Okay, so in 2 hours we're going to be there and we'll get wet and it'll be fun.
Is that where David's men came up into the city?
That is where David's men came up into the city. Okay, that is what we call, that is the spring. Now let's go back to our nice shape.
So what are the cities established at that time? Hebron?
1 second, I just want to finish that. So that is the spring. Anyone remembers what the name of the spring is?
Gihon.
Gihon. Okay, that is Maayan Gihon, the Gihon spring. Hello. Oh yeah. How are you doing?
Joining a little late.
Awesome. Where are you from?
USA.
USA. Awesome. I'm Ronnie. Nice to meet you. We just started. You didn't miss too much. So the name of the spring over there is Gihon. That is why they come up there. I really like this breeze. Okay, I'm just showing that. I'm excited that winter is like starting to come. That we're not dying of heat up here. I'm really excited about that. So that is important to have in mind. That is really important to know that is where the spring is, because when you wake up in the morning, you Google, you come to Jerusalem. The first thing you'll be in Jerusalem, you'll Google would be the best coffee place, right? Okay, so the spring is the ancient days coffee house. Okay, that is what you have to do the first thing in the morning. You have to drink water. Okay, so it's important to have that in mind.
So this is the source of Gihon.
That is the source of Gihon. Okay, it's a spring. Okay, it's not like the springs you have in the States. Maybe more like, never mind. When it rains, the water seeps through the rock. It seeps, and then against to a lower area. You can see there is a valley over here. When the mountain meets the valley, okay, so suddenly there's a crack in the rock, and then the water bursts out of the underground, and that is what we call in Israel a spring. Okay, that is why there's a spring over there.
Do they get water there? Do they bottle it or something?
How did they used to get the water? We'll talk about that soon.
No, not now. Do they
Now the water is a tourist attraction, and we will walk in that water, and from there it goes down the Kidron all the way to the Dead Sea.
Alright.
Sababa.
Can you show again exactly where you say?
Let's see if you were good at listeners. Who can show?
I can show.
Yes.
The palm tree with the
Red roof
fruit on it.
and palm dates.
You know all the answers.
Only up here.
Okay, hopefully I'll be able to bring you something new over here.
You already have.
Hopefully. I already did? Yes. So we said there is water, we said there is trade, we said there is agriculture in the area, and then you said mountains, okay? Mountains are good because when David came here, okay, he conquered the city from the Jebusites. We'll talk about it, then we'll be down next to the spring, okay? And he looks up over and he sees Mount Moriah, right? Which will later be called Temple Mount. He looks over to the east. He sees Mount Olives. Don't be shy. Mount Olives, okay? I assume before there were graves over there were a lot of olives over there, okay? That is why it was called Mount Olives. Okay, now it's the Arab neighborhood of Silwan. Anyone is interested, I always get this question. At the south, he sees the great mountain, which is called Jabal Mukabbab. Okay, the great mountain. Okay, Jabal is mountain, Mukabbab is great. And when he goes over and looks to the west, he sees Mount Zion. Okay, does he see a mosque? Does he see a church?
No.
Does he see a synagogue?
No.
He sees mountains. Yerushalayim Harim Saviv La. Okay, I always prefer to read in Hebrew, that's like the original language. Yerushalayim Harim Saviv La. Jerusalem is surrounded by mountains. And then David stood right where you're standing, possibly. Maybe where that tree is, maybe a bit lower down. He's standing somewhere over here, he looks around and he says, Jerusalem is surrounded by mountains, and then he makes a small shift. And he changes from the physical, the topographic, to something a bit metaphysical. Jerusalem is surrounded by mountains, and God is surrounding, is protecting his people from now until eternity. As the mountains protecting Jerusalem, God, I pray that you will protect us until eternity. And this is the only place in the world where you can open the Bible, Psalms 125, look around you, you're in Jerusalem, the original Jerusalem, you can see the mountains and you can understand what was written in the Holy Book. And with that being said, I want you to keep that, because being in City of David is the original Jerusalem. Nearly all the stories written in the Bible occurred over here. The stories which were written later, the book of Samuel, the book of Kings, were written over here. If we open the book of Samuel, when David decides to come to Jerusalem, he doesn't have a message from God telling him, hey, come to Jerusalem, and it's pretty random. Why would David choose to come to Jerusalem? So, in the Talmud, in the Jewish literature, oral writings, and there is this story about Samuel, that he had a revelation and he came over to David and told him, you know, this is the place where the binding of Isaac was, this is the chosen city, this is where you should come and make it your capital and later build a temple on it. But all that is not written in the Bible. If we go according to the written Bible, what we need to think of is, I would say, more the political situation of the different tribes of Israel. So, I think that most of you know some of the stories. That's the feeling I got, okay? If you have some questions, feel free to ask, okay? Really. But according to the Bible, Joshua led the tribes of Israel into the land of Canaan, Israel. Every tribe has its own land, okay? And if you open the book of Judges, it's not one nation. It's different tribes which kind of fight for themselves, and every time they need some help, they call a different tribe to come and help them. The first king of Israel, it's a tricky question. The first king of Israel, Shaul, Saul, amazing. What tribe did he come from? Benjamin, awesome, Binyamin. According to the borders of Jerusalem, it's not 100% easily read if Jerusalem was part of Binyamin or part of Yehuda. Okay, it's somewhere in the middle. The border is somewhere in the middle between Benjamin and Judah. What we know for sure is that not Binyamin and not Yehuda, not the tribe of Benjamin and not the tribe of Judah, managed to conquer the city of Jerusalem from the Jebusites. So when Saul rules and builds his palace, he builds it a bit northern from city of David in a place called Givat Shaul, which is nowadays, for those of you who know, next to Pisgat Ze'ev. Okay, just next to Pisgat Ze'ev. It's, let's say, 5 kilometers north from where we are right now. Okay, if you continue on the main road, you'll see it on the left. There's still a palace over there today, but not the same king's palace. It's the palace of Abdallah, the king of Jordan. Okay, when that was part of Jordan before 1967. Okay, but Saul, right, he doesn't rule correctly, and then the kingship is taken from him and moved to David. David rules in Hebron. In Hebron, he rules for 7.5 years, and then he makes, I would say, a political, dramatic change. He decides to leave Hebron, which is a big city, a prosperous city with many springs. It's on the main route, right? The route over here, I told you, is called Derech Hebron. it leads to the big city, but he decides Hebron is the capital of Judah. David does not only want to stay the leader of Judah, he wants to do something, I would say, bigger. He understands that he has a much more important role than being just a leader of one small tribe. And he decides to leave his tribe's land and move to a city which is not controlled by any tribe, not by Judah, not by Benjamin, a bit like Washington, D.C. Okay, a neutral place. And from this neutral place, he can build his kingdom, which will unite all the people. And later his son Solomon will build a temple at the top of the mountain. And that is I would say, the concluding. Okay, so it will be also a kingdom, the capital of the people, also a kingdom city, and also the holy city of God. So when David comes to Jerusalem, the idea is to try to unite the nation of Israel across it. And later, Yeshayahu, the prophet Isaiah, would say it's not only about the people of Israel. My house is a house of prayer for all nations. And that starts with David 3,000 years ago, okay, conquering the city from the Jebusites and making this the center of the nation and the center of the world. Fortress of Zion. Yes? And Vaikra La'ir David, and he calls it City of David Ad Hayom Hazeh, until this day. What is that Fortress of Zion? What is that structure which David later made into his palace? So, in 2005, Eilat Mazar, an archaeologist, she came over to this place. Now, an archaeologist, a lot of times, we, as tour guides, we like to compare them to investigators, like Sherlock Holmes, or I don't know which other investigators they might know. Okay, do you know any investigators that when if there's like a crime scene or something, they need to look for clues, and then they need to try and figure it out, maybe a bit like James Bond or something like that. And the idea is an archaeologist comes to a site and they look for clues, okay? And when we talk about archaeology, I'll do this short. There are three basic ways of how you do it. Number one is the ceramics, okay? The ceramics, the pottery, it can be a plate, a bowl, a cup, a candle, and that changes with the times, a bit like these changed in the past 30 years, okay? If you will find a Nokia, an ancient Nokia phone, in some home, you'll know that that was built at around 2005. If you find an iPhone, I know 15 already or whatever there is, you'll know that that house was over here at 2022. Wall, and it continues all the way over here to the end of that staircase. Okay, I'm saying again, this was excavated between 2005 and 2007. And part of the wall isn't here anymore because soon I'll tell you how old it is, but it happened thousands of years ago. And I don't know, maybe in the time of Herod or the Ottomans, someone came and he was like, oh, some stones. I like those stones, let's take them. Okay? So the wall isn't complete anymore. But it used to be complete, we need to be imaginative, okay? One stone, one wall A, and it connects. Now we're gonna turn to here. It connects to wall B. Wall B is even more difficult to see, but you can see here a few rocks, one next to each other, and here you can see some more rocks. Okay, are you with me? Where my finger is pointing. Okay, there's a row, I would say, of stones over here, and it connects right under the staircase over there. Wall A and wall B connect. Okay, are you with me until now? Soon you'll understand why it's important. I'm building it up, slowly, okay? Wall A, wall B. Together with that, the ceramics, which Eilat Mazar, the archaeologist, found over here, she dated them to the late bronze, and after that to the beginning of, to the end of the first stage of the Stone Age, which basically says approximately 3,000 years ago. Maybe you can start and understand. Let them pass. Together with that, Okay. Also, archaeologists found over here a very nice stone. See that very nice looking stone over there? So that is a decorating pillar. It's a decorating stone at the top of a pillar. And when Eilat Mazal added everything together, it says that having two very massive walls, it's at the top of the city, right, just beneath where the temple should be built. I can date it to 3,000 years ago, and I found a very, very impressive decorating stone over here, and she says, ladies and gentlemen, you're standing. I told you it'd be dramatic. וילכוד דוד את מצודת ציון, היא עיר דוד, and David conquered the fortress of Zion, that is city of David. She says, I think that we might be in the fortress of Zion, which might later be King David's palace. That is what Eilat Mazal said, and then the idea is that here he stands overlooking his city, his area. And here it's also important to say that most archaeologists disagree with Eilat Mazal, and they say that this is later to the times of David or earlier to the times of David. And they say, okay, you found some stuff, but why would you declare that it's King David's palace? I mean, the nice structure, we don't know for sure. But it's possible according to the topography, according to reading the scriptures in the Bible. And if it wasn't King David's palace, it was still a very, very important structure in the hierarchy. And also found at the far corner of this structure were two bulas. Bula is more or less a seal, okay? With names which are mentioned in the Bible, which hopefully, if when we go down there, it'll be quiet, I will tell you the story down over there. While we are turning around towards that direction, please reach your pockets for a 5-second coin. I hope it's okay. If it's not okay, I won't sit on here. Okay? No, because sometimes people can't look at me at all.
Right.
Okay? Does anyone have a 5-shekel coin? 5-shekel coin. Awesome. Thank you. What's your name? Tina. Tina gave me a 5-shekel coin. So in the States, most of you are from the States, there is, you have on your bills Lincoln, right, and Washington. And in England, there is the Queen. And also in Australia, there is the Queen. Soon it'll be probably changed to the King, actually. In Israel, on our coins, on one side we have the number 5. City of David. It was found in many, many palaces which belonged to the Judean and Israeli kingdom from the days of the Bible. Shalom! בסדר. נעים מאוד. מבינה, עכשיו אני מדיח דרך עיר דוד.
טוב מאוד.
כן, לאט לאט. You're with me, so you got what I'm saying, okay, right? You can see it.
Yes, the symbol of monarchy.
Tina, take it back. So, sometimes I like to keep it in my pockets. But this time I was nice, Tina, and I decided to give it back to you. Usually I forget it in my pocket, you know? So again, the state of Israel today symbolizes with the ancient city and kingdom that was here 3,000 years ago. On all of our coins in the state of Israel, we have symbols from the days or of the first temple or of the second temple of different kings that ruled here at the time. Now, one last thing about the Chiva. I usually prefer to quote Leonard Cohen, which I just heard an amazing podcast about him. And when he sings Hallelujah, he sings about David that he saw her bathing on the roof, right? The Chiva. And I, as a small kid, I was like, that's a bit weird. Like, what, he climbed? Why would he look at her? How did he see her? What, he climbed on roofs to look at her? No. If we are in Jerusalem and we understand the scenery and we're at the top of the hill, which is probably where the palace was, we look down at the people in the city. In those days, people used to bathe on the roofs. Okay, you didn't have a toilet in your house. You would bathe on the roof. Also, the water would cool the house a bit when you have water on the roof because it absorbs a bit of the heat. So he was standing over here, maybe exactly in this modeling pose. looking down, and there she is, bathing on the roof. So accidentally, he saw her. It could have been over here, it could have been over there, it could have been over there. Okay? And specifically down there is a different, very important structure, which we will talk about in 5 minutes.
Yeah, mine's doing the same thing. Yep, I'm ready. This is so beautiful.
Where not only tourists visit, it's not only a world site, it's also an educational place for the youth in Israel who come to learn about the story of their ancestors and the stories of the Bible. The first time I was here, I was sitting exactly like all of you. Over here, there was some noise, some people around me, and I was like, what am I doing here? I'm looking at a pile of stones. Like, what's going on? And the guide is telling me it's an important place. What's the story? Why there's so these nice benches over here? So slowly, we're going to build up the place. Okay, then we'll go back to the story, and then we'll understand how the connection of the story and the place come and arise over here. Good.
We are sorry for interrupting.
So let's start from here on the right. You can see here a few stairs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you see those?
Yes.
Okay, that's the most easy thing to see. That's why I started with those stairs over here. They weren't brought here 100 years ago or 200 years ago, and they weren't brought here yesterday by me. Okay, this is how this place was found in the 1980s when it was excavated by Igal Shiloh. Okay, it was found like this. You can see on the left, you can see there are 2 pillars. You with me? 2 pillars, and in front of them 2 stones, which are bases of pillars. So let's be imaginative. We can imagine how many pillars?
4.
Awesome. 4 pillars in that, what I would call a room. Okay? Please do not get excited about the children, about the youth screaming. Then there's a wall, and then a gap and a wall. Can you see that on the left side? A wall, a gap, and a wall. What might that be? Again, a doorway. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
I can fit inside that room, go out the door, walk up the stairs, and probably I will get to maybe a second floor. Maybe a roof where I'll be able to bathe. Right? Now if we look over to the right, okay, there's something here which is not really identified. But then when we continue, you can see over here a square stone with a hole inside. Can you see that square stone with a hole inside? Any guesses? Maybe a cistern? Tina, I think you know by the face you're making. And you're like, ooh, I don't want to say that. A toilet, right? It does not mean an ashtray, which I heard a few times. A toilet. Okay, a toilet. Okay, so we're getting there. And you remember where the string is? Down there, right? You said down there. And if I'm talking at least 2,000 years ago, and soon I'll tell you exactly when, but 3,000 years ago, did they bring the water from there to here? Did they have pumps? No. So if you have a bathroom in your house, like it says in Masechet Makot, I think, who is a rich man? So Rabbi Akiva says, yeah, it's in the oral law in the Talmud. Rabbi Akiva says, he who his wife is beautiful with deeds. Rabbi Meir says, who is a rich man? He who is happy with what he has. There's another answer over there by Rabbi Yosef, I think, and he says, who is a wealthy man? He who has a toilet next to his dining hall. If you have a toilet in your house, you need someone to collect what comes out. Would you do that? Would you do that? Probably not, right? Not on a daily basis. Meaning the person who lives over here has slaves or servants to do that for him, meaning he is a wealthy person. So we're looking at a complex of maybe one wealthy person, maybe a few rich people. There's a small room here to the right where you saw the steps at the beginning, which we call it the burnt room. Okay, when it was excavated in the 1980s, Igal Shiloh came home and he got yelled at by his wife. Why are you making my floor dirty? Why are you putting ash everywhere? He was like, oh, wow, I'm sorry. He had ash all the way up to his knees when he excavated that room. Okay, ash. Okay, in that ash were also some olive dates. Remember why that is good? You can date it. Next time I should say they were found also date pits, right?
Yeah.
Because then you can date it. And then he went with his wife. Yeah. In the room next to us over here, it's a room which we call Beit HaBulot. Okay, the Bula house. It's kind of over there, and the Bula house. The Bula house because there were two jugs which within them were found 51 bulot. Do you remember what a bula is? I mentioned it before.
Yeah,
It's a seal which you have a stamp on it. Sometimes a name, sometimes a figure. Okay. Why is that important? Let's open.
Jeremiah.
Whatever, and you decide to open the
36.
Bible, and what opens up is the book of Jeremiah. You'll probably straight away close it, okay? Because the book of Jeremiah is not a very happy book. It's not a very lifting book. It's all basically about how wrong we are with what we do. The city is going to get destroyed. The temple is going to be destroyed, and we should all repent and change our deeds. Jeremiah is a prophet who lives. Okay, if I'm going back to the timeline. So we have the Jebusites. Then at around 1000 BC, we have King David. And then at around 600 BC, okay, 400 years after David, 2,600 years ago, are the days of Jeremiah, Yehoiakim, Yehoiachin, and Tzidkiyahu, the last three kings here in Jerusalem. Jeremiah is in jail. He was sent to jail. Okay, he's in the pit. He's sent to jail because what he has to say is not what the king Yehoiakim wants to hear. Okay? But when he is sitting in jail in chapter 36, he writes a scroll. In this scroll, we don't know exactly what was written, but he writes the scroll and sends it over to Baruch to read it to the people in the upper city. Somewhere over here. Baruch reads it out to the congressmen, okay, to the people who are part of the coalition, to the congressmen of Yehoiakim. As he reads it, they tear their clothes and they start weeping. And Gemariah ben Shaphan, together with Delayahu, okay, Gemariah son of Shaphan, remember that name, Gemariah ben Shaphan, he says, oh my God, we have to do something about it. We have to go to Yehoiakim, who's not even here in the city. He's sitting in his winter palace, not with the city, not part of the people. And Gemariah and Delayahu and Yehudi, these are the three people who are mentioned, they go over to the king and they want him to read the words of the prophet of Yirmiyahu. Are you all familiar with the story? It's not a very, very famous story, but this is a place to mention it, and hopefully in a second you'll know why. So do you remember what happens? Remember?
They've torn the scroll.
So we have here a theologist. You know it well. Thank you. Elena, as Elena said, Gemariah. Okay, I'll quickly read it. Vayiki kro Yehudi. Yeah, as the Yehudi, as the guy reads it, shalosh dlatot ve'arba'a, as he reads 3 phrases, ikra'ea betar hasofer ve'ashlech el ha'esh asher al ha'ach. The king takes a knife, takes a straw and tears it to pieces and throws it to the fireplace next to him. Okay, that is basically what the king thinks about what Jeremiah says. And in other words, I'm sorry, but I have to say it's a good joke. In other words, he says, fake news.
That's good.
Okay? You, Jeremiah, that is what you think. Believe me, I am the king. I know we will fight the Babylonians and we will win. It's nothing to do with God. It's nothing to do with how we judge the people. It's nothing to do with being a good person. Trust me, I am the king, I know. At the end of the chapter, Jeremiah writes, yeah, God told me. God says, Yoakim, like you burned my words, be aware I will burn your city. Very tragic. Yoakim, 3 months later, is sent off the throne. Yehoiachin rules, and then Tzidkiyahu, and then the Babylonians come and destroy the whole city. The time when Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians came here, and as it said in the book of Kings, and every big house they burned. Okay, we have here a big house which is fully burnt. I told you that what's found over here is the Bula house. Found the Bula room with a lot of seals. Okay, this is what a seal used to look like. Okay, the idea is you seal a letter with it, you stamp it on a letter, and on one of the seals which was found right beneath your feet was written in ancient Hebrew the name Yemariyahu ben Shaphan, Yemariah son of Shaphan. Jeremiah chapter 36. The congressman person went over to the king, to Yoakim, and tried to tell him, hey, maybe we should repent, maybe we should listen to the prophet, maybe we should go with the ways of God. His name, his and no other, was found right over here. Okay? Was this the Pentagon, the White House? Okay, was this just a house? We don't know for sure. We don't know exactly what was here. Chapters 37 and 38 in the book of Jeremiah. They were actually pro-Yoakim. They were with the king. They were anti-Jeremiah, okay? So that's how in Israel we have elections, we have the coalition, the opposition, right? Yes, Bibi, no Bibi. It's the same thing 2,600 years ago. Okay, just hopefully it won't lead us to destruction again. But that is the story of this place. And if we continue with Jeremiah. חברים, אני אשמח אם תעברו. קדמו בבקשה. קדמו. If we continue with the stories of Jeremiah, because I don't want us to end so negative. Chapter 31, Jeremiah speaks about the recoming, right? He says that in 70 years we will come back again to our land. And one of the most beautiful sections in the Jewish prayer on a Friday night, when we welcome the Sabbath, we say, "V'nivneta ir al tila," and a new city will be built on its ruins. So now I was talking to you for 10 minutes about the ruins of the city from 2,600 years ago, which Jeremiah wept over and looked at. And if you raise your eyes up, you can see the blossoming rebuilding of Jerusalem on the ruins of the ancient city. So it says over here, just because I see some of you reading the sign, it says Bet Achiel, and one of the complex I just talked to you about, some people call it Beit Achiel because they found a piece of clay which said on it Achiel, which is a name. It means Achi, brother, El, God. So God is my brother or something similar to that. And now we're going to continue. Okay, we're going to start to walk down. I know that I destroyed Jerusalem already, right? I showed you the destructions, the destroyed city, but we're going to rebuild it now because the tour is according to what we passed by and it's not chronological, okay? So remember this, it's a very powerful place, but now we are going back in time.
To Jebusites.
So if this was 586 BC, 2,600 years ago, now we're going back to the times of the Canaanites and the Jebusites. Okay? You told me that the spring was down there. right? Maya. Is Maya here?
Over there.
Can I ask a question? If mom wants some water, she says, Maya, get me some water. What would you do? Where would you go to get water if you wouldn't have a fridge? What would you have? Where would you go to? The spring. Okay? The spring, Maya, I don't know if you remember, it's where I pointed where that palm tree was, all the way there. So now what we are going to do, we are going to go down towards the spring, okay? We are holding a jug, might be on our head, might be like this, might be behind us. We're talking in the days of the Jebusites, before the times of David. In order to get to the spring, we wanted to be protected. We, I mean the Jebusites, right? We're all Jebusites right now. And in order to get there, we chiseled an underground tunnel, which we're now going to walk through in order to get to the spring. In order to get there, we need to walk down. So now we're going to be walking many stairs down.
Is it for safety that chisel the town, or for protection of those who want?
Protection, when we'll be over there, I'll show you the map, and then you will see.
So what can you expect? What danger can you expect from other tribes, or what other tribes can attack
No, I don't
you?
know for sure. I would say that it might be because we're close to the desert. We're right on the border with the desert, so
Yeah.
it could be just different nomads or tribes who wanna come and get some water. But it's also when you have a big war,
Yeah.
because the spring is at the bottom of the city, and it's not protected well enough.
Oh, I see.
But it's at the bottom. And the city walls, which we don't yet know exactly for sure exactly where they are. But soon we'll see the city walls, which are above the level of the spring. You understand?
Yeah.
So you need to protect the spring.
Yeah, this is strange that they didn't put it on a very top. Oh, it was still on a very top, but it reached the bottom level. This very rich houses. They're supposed to be on a probably higher up to be.
Which houses?
You know that rich house, aristocrat house.
Yes.
So it's very low.
Compared to what?
To if you build a house on top of the hill, I can.
So now we're still inside the city.
I see.
Someone
Oh, okay.
asked where are the still excavations? The
yeah.
excavation now, they found more houses.
Yeah.
So think how high up that is compared to
Yeah.
these houses.
You're right.
You understand?
Yeah.
So it is still the, I would say, high society. High society is always at the higher part of the city.
That's what I'm talking about.
And now we're going down, and we're going to see some more houses here at the bottom part.
Yes. So we have the spoon over here, and the production is not enough because if someone will break through this.
זה 20 דקות לקריאה. And please sit down. And now we're going to enter a tunnel. This is the pathway of the tunnel, more or less. We're going to enter the tunnel underground, and we're going to go past the city walls into the no man's land underground in order to get to the spring. You understand? The spring is down there, the city wall is over here. In order to get to the spring, there's an underground tunnel to get there. That is what we are going to do. When we go into the underground part, there's always a lot of groups. It gets a bit narrow. There are a lot of questions to ask. Most of them don't have one correct answer. And we're going to walk. When it's possible to stop, we will stop. There are not many places to stop. I'm just saying already now. And we're gonna for sure stop to watch a movie in about 15 minutes. dishwasher step when you come down the stairs. And as we're coming, you can see over there some archaeological findings that were found in here. Dishwasher step.
You like the company?
Ja, guys.
Water. Okay, water is an important part of the city, and today it's kind of obvious stuff. Maybe unless you live in South Africa, right, in Cape Town, you have a serious problem with water over there. And how hard would you work for water? Okay, and so please walk down, look to the sides, and also look up, because above us, once we reach the tunnel, we'll also see the rock, right? The earth.
You all right? Давай сама.
Не, мама, не пишу.
Ваня. Dug it out.
Please come. Stop. Please come. I know. I don't want to get it.
Different part of the before you go into the temple, it's like a ritual.
Their city was already so much lower. Very.
The other group is right behind us.
That's your head, Carrie.
That's what I was seeing. That's the story.
And yeah, we'll need to squash here for a minute. Okay, it seems like I have 60 seconds.
Okay, great stuff.
Need a hand?
Yeah, no, his head. I told you what.
Oh.
Watch your head. Here, come in.
Okay, so it seems I have 60 seconds, so I'll do this super quick. Three things to say over here. Number one is, I'm a Jebusite kid. I came down to give water from my mom. I went through the city walls, right? Can you see it? Okay, the city walls. Then I went underground through a tunnel. Got it? And now we reach the end of the tunnel. If I'm a Jebusite kid, I walk through here and I reach the fortress. Okay? Got it?
Yes.
And the fortress protects the spring.
Yes.
Now, because we don't want to walk on a 4,000-year-old fortress, we are going to walk through a modern opening which was made underground, and we will go that direction. Understood?
Yes.
4,000 years ago, and also in the times of David, in order to get to the spring, they would come from here. Second thing, Charles Warren, 1867, starts to excavate here. He's part of the Palestine Exploration Fund, which was part of a huge British project. And he is the first person to excavate here in City of David. That is called Warren's Shaft, because I wanted you to say, wow, it's 15 meters, okay, around 50 feet. You looked down. Charles Warren walks through the water tunnel, which we are going to walk soon. He walks from the bottom. He sees or feels something above him. He has a candlestick, a pencil, and a piece of paper because he wants to write everything down, and he decides he's going to climb up. No helmet, no
Protective gears.
protective gears, thank you, no rope, nothing. And he starts to climb together with his schlepper, his helper who works him. And he climbs up, and he ends up over here, and he is the first person in modern times to realize that this is some sort of underground pathway that leads to the water. And that connects a different archaeologist called Beertz a few years later to say, wait, if there is an underground tunnel which leads people to the water and the water to the people, that can be an explanation for a word which appears only twice in the Bible. Once in the book of Psalms, and once in the story of the conquer of Jerusalem by David and his people. Anyone who catches the Jebusites and touches the pipe. What is a pipe? So for us today, a pipe transfers water. If we think about it, maybe in ancient times, they say, some archaeologists, it's an idea. In order to get the water up to the people, you had to walk through here. This transfers the water. This is some kind of pipe. So when you ask me, where is the place where David's soldiers stood? It's very possible that when David and Yoav ben Tzeruiah, who was his general, when they needed to conquer Jerusalem, right? I told you he wanted to come here to make it his capital, a neutral place. They might have come through here. Anyone to hit the Jebusites and touch the pipe. And the idea is once you come through the underground, you control the water, and it's much easier to control the city and conquer a city if you control the water. There's a group behind us, so we're going to continue. If you have questions, please remember them and ask me in the next place.
Yes, from thousands of years.
Please have a look over here. We're going to stop 10 meters ahead. Okay, so just have a look down here. Okay, so you kind of understand what you're looking at. I'm going to say a word about it. 10 meters. Where there's a nice place for all of us to stand.
water supposed to probably walk through there.
This was all outside. All of this that we just
So, what is going to happen next? We'll be here for 2-3 minutes. Then we'll go over there. There is a new movie which opened about 2 months ago. We're going to watch it. It'll give us an understanding about the tunnel of Hezekiah. And then I'll give you another brief explanation. There's also a bathroom here and a place to change clothes. Okay? And then we'll go into the tunnel. So, I know that sometimes walking down here raises rather a few questions. Like I said at the beginning, there are a lot of questions and not always answers, okay? As you just said, okay, now we are actually above ground level, okay? Now if we would look up, we would see the skies. This is a modern building, which is built over here, part of the city of David. And can you see that the wooden stairs over there? Okay, that basically leads to the area where we stood before, where I told you that a Jebusite would come over here towards the spring, and this is where the fortress is. Okay? And we're now standing on top of this fortress, which is called the Spring Fortress, which was built 4,000 years ago by the Jebusites to protect the spring. Got it? David's people, according to the Bible, second book of Samuel, chapter 5, the first 10 sections, and mentions that they came in through the pipe. So from what we understand, they probably walked in through here somehow. So we are now standing on this fortress. King David manages to conquer it. And 250 years after King David, there is a king in Jerusalem called Hezekiah. And in his days, the Assyrians conquering the whole Middle East. To understand a bit more about that time and the tunnel that we're going to walk in through in a few minutes, we're going to go down these stairs. And before we go down, do you have any questions? Yes. This picture is not a good picture.
Is the spring literally under this building?
So in this picture, there are two of these. This was never found. And the spring is, it's inside this.
So how large is the...
You will see when we walk through in the end, we'll see. It's over there.
And it's still viable?
It's over here. You can see it.
But I mean, it's still capturing, producing today?
Yes.
I have a quick question.
Let's walk down. Nothing, without.